Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Trump says missing US crew member from downed jet rescued in daring operation in Iran, while Iran claims that US aircraft C-130 downed in Isfahan. Amidst growing tensions in Russia and Ukraine, Zelensky hints of meeting Putin for negotiations. Meanwhile, US delegation to visit Kiev for further talks. NASA's Artemis II crew now closer to the moon than Earth as they prepare for a lunar flyby. Crew to witness rare solar eclipse from deep space. And Easter Sunday is being observed, marking a joyful and significant occasion for Christians around the world, a celebration of resurrection of Jesus Christ and the promise of new life. The second American crew member from the F-15 fighter jet that was downed over Iran has been rescued by US. US President Donald Trump said that a second airman downed inside Iran was safe and sound following a search and rescue operation. In his Truth Social post, Trump wrote that he directed the US military to send dozens of aircraft armed with the most lethal weapons in the world to retrieve the airman. He further wrote that he rescued the rescued crew member, in fact, has sustained injuries but will be just fine. He also wrote that this is the first time in military memory that the two US pilots have been rescued separately deep in enemy territory, adding that both operations were concluded without a single American killed or even wounded. Meanwhile, Iran's Revolutionary Guard said a US aircraft that had been searching for the crew member of a missing American fighter jet had been destroyed. Iranian police command claimed that the downed US aircraft in Isfahan was C-130 used to refuel invaders. Earlier, US President Donald Trump issued a sharp 48-hour ultimatum to Iran on Saturday, warning all hell will rain down if Tehran fails to reopen the strategic Strait of Hormuz or reach a deal by Monday. Israel signaled readiness to strike Iranian energy facilities pending US approval. In response, Iran has also warned that any escalation would turn the entire region into hell for the US and Israel. Iran's Revolutionary Guard's spokesperson warned that if escalation continues, the entire region will turn into hell. Israel's capital, Jerusalem, witnesses multiple interceptor missiles rising into the sky on Saturday evening, followed by several loud explosions. Air raid sirens sounded across Jerusalem and central Israel on Saturday evening as Iran launched the seventh wave of missile attacks against Jerusalem that day. Israeli authorities said that the latest round of missile attacks targeting Jerusalem resulted in no casualties. The Israel Defense Forces said that one of the Iranian missiles landed in an open area, while the rest were successfully intercepted by the country's air defense system. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in a statement released on his Telegram channel on Saturday, said that Israel had stuck petrochemical plants after previously destroying what he said was a large portion of Iran's steel production capacity. The intensifying conflict with Iran has become a defining high-stakes issue for the Trump administration. The White House has asked the lawmakers to approve a massive $1.5 trillion defense budget for 2027 as the country faces rising costs from its war with Iran and mounting global security commitments. Moreover, Trump administration is facing severe turmoil characterized by high-level personnel shakeups. Pam Bondi has been fired, and as per media reports, many of the top officials may be axed in the days to come. DD India's Raghav Kumar Jha has filed this report. Have a look.
As the United States faces rising costs from its war with Iran and mounting global security commitments, the White House has asked Congress to boost the US defense budget to 1.5 trillion US dollars. The proposal would lift Pentagon spending by more than 40% in a single year, the sharpest increase since World War II. It includes funding for the Trump administration's proposed Golden Dome missile defense system, as well as a boost in domestic production of naval vessels, including new Trump class battleships. The administration said it would pair the proposed increase with a call for cuts across domestic agencies, including eliminating some climate, housing, and education programs. The proposed budget aims to cut non defense spending approximately 10% by cutting woke, weaponized, and wasteful programs and shifting responsibilities to states. The request, which will need to be approved by the US Congress, is separate from the 200 billion US dollars that the Pentagon has sought for the war in Iran. Amid escalating tensions in the West Asia, Trump is reportedly considering a broader cabinet shakeup in the wake of Attorney General Pam Bondi's removal. This comes after sacking of Army Chief of Staff General Randy George and two other senior Army officers, General David Hone and Major General William Green Jr. According to media reports, Trump is considering to remove three more top officials: FBI Director Kash Patel, Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll, and Labor Secretary Lori Chavez de Rima. While no final decision or timeline has been announced, the developments indicate a broader strategic recalibration within the US administration. Raghav Kumar Jha's report for DD India.
Amid rising tensions between Ukraine and Russia, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has signaled a willingness to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin for potential negotiations. During his visit to Istanbul, Zelensky said he is ready to meet Putin for negotiations to end the conflict after talks with the Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew I and Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan. Zelensky announced expanded security cooperation with Turkey after meeting Erdogan, while Erdogan reaffirmed Turkey's support for Ukraine-Russia peace negotiations. Meanwhile, Ukraine expects a U.S. delegation led by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to visit Kyiv this month as efforts to restart peace talks begin. The Ukrainian presidential office said progress has been made on security guarantees as the United States continues to mediate peace efforts between Ukraine and Russia. The Ukrainian and U.S. delegations last met for negotiations in Florida on March 21. Taiwan's main opposition leader will make a rare trip to China on Tuesday, weeks before U.S. President Donald Trump, with Beijing expected to use the visit to increase its influence over the democratic island. Chen Li-won, who will become the first sitting chairperson of the Kuomintang to travel to China in a decade. The KMT has long advocated for closer relations with China, which claims Taiwan is part of its territory and has threatened to use force to seize it. Cheng's visit comes as the United States intensifies pressure on Taiwanese opposition lawmakers to approve a proposal for defense purchases. Update now on NASA's Artemis II mission. NASA said the Artemis II crew is now closer to the moon than Earth as they follow a free return trajectory, preparing for a lunar flyby on day 6.
Integrity remains on a free return trajectory and is on the outbound transit towards the moon with lunar flyby day 6, which is Monday coming up. Very excited about that. As you heard yesterday, Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy are now closer to the moon than they are to Earth.
Artemis Science Flight Operations lead Dr. Kelsey Young stated that during Monday's flyby, the Artemis II crew will experience a rare 53-minute solar eclipse from deep space and will enter the moon's gravitational sphere of influence, a key milestone in their roughly 10-day journey.
Interesting opportunity we have for Monday's flyby is we will actually, from the vantage point of integrity, the sun will pass behind the moon from their perspective, creating a solar eclipse. And from a perspective that is very, very unique to this mission, it will be a roughly 53-minute eclipse, and then they'll see sunrise where the sun pops out the other side of the moon.
The Artemis II astronauts began their day with breakfast and music on Saturday. The astronauts are trained in geology to photograph and describe lunar features. Unlike Apollo missions, Artemis II will pass just over 4,000 miles above the surface, offering a full view of the moon, including polar regions. If all proceeds smoothly, as Orion whips around the moon, the astronauts could set a record by venturing farther from Earth than any human before. And we are heading for a short break. You stay tuned to DD India.
Water influences our lives in more ways than we often notice. It shapes our cities, our communities, and even the childhoods of those growing up on its edge.
That it's not an unlimited ocean available. There are limited resources in it, and we have to adapt to newer ways of fishing so that we survive and our next generation survives.
Project Special is that everyone in the village got involved. They built dams and dug ponds. They also planted trees to help the soil store the little rainwater more effectively and for longer.
Few visitors realize that this stretch of coastline is severely contaminated with toxic heavy metals. Hiking here can be harmful to your health.
If you are able to ease the financial burdens associated with schooling, you have created an enormous opportunity for the most vulnerable children.
You're watching DD India Live. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. It was a day of promises and stark quotient in Puducherry. Both BJP and Congress released their manifesto in Puducherry on Saturday. And to add some glamour to the election campaign, film star Vijay also did a roadshow. Vishal Barrister reports.
With the promise of 2 free gas cylinders, 60% domicile reservation in Group C and D jobs, and Rs 200 crore corpus relief fund for crop damage, Bharatiya Janata Party released its manifesto. The 20-point manifesto aims at NDA's victory for the second time in Puducherry.
पुडुचेरी इलेक्शन के लिए भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने आज सर्वसमावेशी मैनिफेस्टो जाहिर करा है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी डेवलपमेंट के आधार पर पुडुचेरी विकास की कल्पना करती है। पुडुचेरी में पिछले 5 साल एनडीए की सरकार रही रंगास्वामी के नेतृत्व में, और आने वाले दिनों में फिर से एनडीए की सरकार बने।
Congress also held a public rally and released its manifesto with a promise of full statehood for Puducherry. Attacking the NDA government in Puducherry, the national president of the party questioned BJP on job security. Unlike Karnataka and Telangana, the manifesto of Congress promises gold for the girl child. But how will it be done? Well, the party has no clear answers to it.
आज सोना इतना महंगा हो गया है, आप नहीं दे पाते हो बच्चों को शादियों में, तो कांग्रेस पार्टी आएगी तो हम लोग बच्चियों को गोल्ड भी देंगे। ये हमने गारंटीज और प्लान्स में लिया है।
While the two national parties released their manifestos, the Southern star Vijay held a roadshow drawing huge crowd. Vijay's TVK is making a debut in Puducherry elections. TVK has decided to go all alone, contesting on full 30 seats.
Cinema and politics go hand in hand when we talk about elections in the south. Film star Vijay's party TVK is also making a debut in Puducherry's elections. And there's a lot of craze for this film star. As you can see, people from all walks of life, they have thronged the streets. They want to have a glimpse of their favorite film star. How many of them will convert into real votes? Well, time will only tell. With cameraman Sanjay Kumar Jana in Puducherry, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
With the assembly elections in West Bengal just weeks away, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be addressing his first rally in Cooch Behar on Sunday. Polling will be held in 152 assembly constituencies of West Bengal in the first phase on April 23, while in the second phase, 142 constituencies will go to the polls on April 29. The counting of votes will be held on May 4. Union Home Minister Amrita Shah led a roadshow in Kozhikode to campaign for BJP candidate KP Prakash Babu from the Baipur Assembly constituency, asserting that Keralam stands with the National Democratic Alliance or the NDA for transparent governance. The roadshow witnessed enthusiastic participation from party workers and supporters as Home Minister Shah sought to bolster the party's outreach ahead of the elections and rally support for the BJP candidate in the region. On April 5 every year, India celebrates National Maritime Day, a day that marks the country's long and proud maritime legacy. The date commemorates a historic moment in 1919 when the first Indian-owned ship SS Loyalty set sail from Mumbai to London. Operated by Scindia Steam Navigation Company, the voyage symbolized India's entry into global shipping during colonial rule. Here's a report. Have a look.
India's maritime story is deeply rooted in history, and National Maritime Day, observed on 5th April, commemorates a landmark moment in that journey. It was on this day in 1919 that the first Indian-owned ship, SS Loyalty, sailed from Mumbai to London. Operated by the Scindia Steam Navigation Company, the voyage marked India's entry into global shipping during the colonial era and symbolized the country's aspiration to reclaim its maritime identity. When India gained independence in 1947, the maritime sector was still in its infancy. The country had limited port infrastructure and a small shipping fleet. But in the decade that followed, India steadily strengthened its maritime capabilities. Major ports were developed across the coastline. The shipping industry expanded, and the Indian Navy grew into a formidable force, safeguarding the nation's maritime interests. Today, India has 12 major ports and more than 200 non-major ports, with nearly 95% of country's trade by volume moving through the seas. In recent years, the push to modernize India's maritime sector has gathered significant momentum. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, ambitious initiatives like the Sagarmala program have aimed at port modernization, improved logistics, and the development of coastal economic zones. Massive investments in port connectivity, shipbuilding, and inland waterways have strengthened India's maritime infrastructure and boosting trade efficiency. At the same time, India's strategic maritime presence has expanded significantly. The Indian Navy has emerged as one of the most capable forces in the Indo-Pacific region, playing a key role in securing sea lanes, disaster relief operations, and maintaining stability across the Indian Ocean. From the historic voyage of SS Loyalty more than a century ago to its rise as major maritime power today, India's journey across the seas reflects determination, growth, and global ambition. In New Delhi, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
A major exhibition in the Netherlands is celebrating the artistic legacy of India's iconic modern painter Amrita Sher-Gil through a landmark collaboration with the National Gallery of Modern Art in New Delhi. The show at the Drents Museum in Assen highlights the growing cultural partnership between India and the Netherlands, bringing Sher-Gil's rare masterpieces to European audiences. Mark Limburg sends us this report from the Netherlands.
Here in Assen, in the north of the Netherlands, what was meant to be one of Europe's most anticipated exhibitions on India's legendary modern artist Amrita Sher-Gil has taken an unexpected turn. With key works from India delayed amid ongoing geopolitical tensions, the Drents Museum has chosen no silence but tribute. Instead of postponing India's presence altogether, Dutch museum partners came together to create a remarkable alternative. A carefully curated homage built around Sher-Gil's masterpiece is already held in the Netherlands. It is a gesture of cultural continuity, but also of international respect for one of India's most influential artistic voices. For curator Annemiek Rens, that enduring relevance is exactly what makes this exhibition resonate today.
We focused on themes that are important in Amrita Sher-Gil's life: identity, connection, freedom and love. I think the life story of Amrita Sher-Gil is so important because she is all for collaboration, for international collaboration, and it is so important in this time, in this world we are living in now, that we focus on that as well as museums, and we bring art to the people, and that's what we are doing here. The collaboration with our Indian colleagues is very good, and for over the last 6 years we have been working very closely together, and it is very good collaboration between our two museums and our two countries, so that is really nice. And we made this beautiful catalogue as well, both in Dutch and in English, on Amrita Sher-Gil. And the NGMA, the National Gallery of Modern Art in New Delhi, of course, they have the collection. They also wrote for this beautiful catalogue.
This tribute sends a powerful message. Amrita Sher-Gil's art continues to transcend borders, politics and time. For DD India, this is Mark Limburg in Assen, the Netherlands.
Easter Sunday is being celebrated today, marking a joyful and significant occasion for Christians around the world. The day is observed with special church services, prayers and festive gatherings that celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ and the promise of new life. Traditions such as Easter egg hunts, sharing meals with family and decorating eggs symbolize renewal and hope, making the day both spiritually meaningful and culturally vibrant. Easter prayers are held in various churches across Kerala as believers were seen conducting prayers. In Ernakulam, the St. Francis Assisi Cathedral became a focal point for the celebrations, with congregants engaging in solemn prayers and rituals that reflected the spiritual fervor of the day. St. Mary's Church in Pattam, Thiruvananthapuram celebrated Easter with large crowds as special prayers and Holy Mass marked the occasion with joy and devotion. Pope Leo led the Easter Vigil Mass at St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City on Saturday, urging people not to be numbed by ongoing global conflicts and to continue working towards peace. He warned against growing fear and mistrust dividing nations and called on leaders to reject violence. The Pope also baptized new members into church during the service, marking one of the most significant moments in the Christian calendar.
Even today there are tombs to be opened, and often the stones sealing them are so heavy and so closely guarded that they seem immovable. Some weigh heavily on the human heart, such as mistrust, fear, selfishness, and resentment. Others, stemming from those inner ones, sever the bonds between us through war, injustice, and isolation of peoples and nations. Let us not allow ourselves to be paralyzed.
La ingiustizia, la chiusura tra popoli e nazioni.
And time now for some sports news. Barcelona moved closer to winning the La Liga title after beating Atletico Madrid 2-1 in an exciting match. Atletico took the lead just before halftime through Giuliano Simeone, but things got harder for them when Nicolas Gonzalez was sent off, meaning they had to play the entire second half with only 10 players. In the second half, Marcus Rashford scored to make it 1-1. Then near the end of the game, Robert Lewandowski scored the winning goal in the 87th minute for Barcelona. Barcelona also had a scare when Gerard Martin almost got a red card, but it was overturned. This win helped Barcelona take advantage of Real Madrid dropping points earlier. It was also a bit of revenge for Barcelona after losing 4-0 to Atletico in the Copa del Rey. The two teams will meet again soon in the Champions League quarterfinals. Erling Haaland hit a hat-trick as Manchester City thrashed Liverpool 4-0 on Saturday to reach the FA Cup semi-final and increase the pressure on Reds boss Arne Slot. Haaland netted twice late in the first half of the quarter-final at the Etihad Stadium and completed his treble after the interval following an Semenyo strike. With Liverpool trailing by 4, Salah had a penalty saved by City goalkeeper to compound a miserable afternoon for this under-fire Slot. And thousands of migratory flamingos have transformed the run of Kutch, a salt marsh in Gujarat, into a vivid pink spectacle. Their synchronized movements and feeding tracks create intricate artistic patterns across the shallow wetlands, contrasting beautifully with the white salt desert. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.